What's up everyone, GameDad here, coming at you guys with part 4 of my current SNES collection. Now, we have gone through a bunch of the games already, and I don't even believe that I have half of the entire SNES library, but I do like what I have so far. So, come with me as we check out the games that are on the list for today's video. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the Fighting Edition, was released by Bandai in 1995, and takes that classic, 1v1 kind of fighting game style with Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, all those things, but puts it into a 16-bit Power Rangers shell. And I mean, it's a pretty fun game. You're getting to go at it as Megazords and things like that, but overall it's just a generic fighting game. Up next we have Prehistorik Man, released by Titus Software in 1996, and this is your typical action-adventure platformer side-scroller kind of game. I mean, graphically it is very easy on the eyes, it's pretty fun, and it has some basic platforming elements to it, but overall, I mean, that's pretty much what it is just a basic platformer. And here we have Rock and Roll Racing, released by Interplay Entertainment in 1993, and it definitely has some RC Pro-Am from the NES days kind of vibes to it. And the game is awesome. You can actually catch air in this game by going over all the different jumps. It's super fast-paced, you get all your different power-ups and stuff, and it's got a pretty banging soundtrack to it as well. And here we have Romance of the Three Kingdoms 2, released by Koei in 1992. And if you've ever played a Dynasty Warriors style game, think of that, but a much, much earlier version of those kind of games. They are just way too involved for my taste for these kind of games. I like strategy as much as the next person, but man, these things go super in-depth. Up next is Seaquest DSV, released by Malibu Games in 1995, and I actually like this port of it better than the one on the Genesis. I don't know, I think it looks a little better, it's a little more vibrant, not as dark, and I think it controls a little better too, but overall, you're just going around on the Seaquest submarine and taking out the baddies and running some missions. And here we have SimCity, released by Nintendo in 1991. And while this simulator is a lot of fun, it's of course where it got its start, I actually prefer SimCity 2000 over this version, just because I find it to be more fun, a little more in-depth, and I don't know, just kind of easier to get around. Up next is Spawn the Video Game, released by Acclaim Entertainment in 1995, and this game is actually a lot of fun. It can be brutal at times and it can be difficult, but it's a really fun platformer slash beat 'em up style game. You do get some pretty cool power-ups and things like that and different special moves, but the specials are really hard to actually get them to work, except for this basic like jump spin kick thing. But overall, really fun game, and it looks great. Up next is Speedy Gonzales Los Gatos Bandidos, released by Acclaim Entertainment in 1995. And this game is super vibrant, and it reminds me of a cross between Sonic and Saturday morning cartoons kind of vibes. The game is super fun. It is definitely fast-paced. I mean, it's Speedy Gonzales, but overall, I mean, I had a blast playing this. It kind of reminded me of the Porky Pig game. Super fun and unique. Up next is an absolute classic, and that is Star Fox, released by Nintendo in 1993, famous for using the FX chip. There were several games that did use it, but this one, I believe, was the first. And as you can see, it pushes the 16-bit console into the 3D polygonal space. So, very basic shapes and everything, but this is an awesome game, and it really pushed the hardware to its limit. Up next, we have Star Trek Starfleet Academy Starship Bridge Simulator, released by Interplay Entertainment in 1994. And in this one, you go around, you can learn about the different aspects of what you're supposed to do, and then you go into the actual bridge simulator, where you get to do a bunch of different missions and stuff like that, and see what it would be like to be on the bridge of a Starfleet vessel. So it's pretty cool. And up next, we got Street Fighter 2, released by Capcom in 1992. And I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm biased because I grew up playing it on this console instead, but I just like the Super Nintendo versions of these kinds of games. Mortal Kombat, definitely on Genesis, but here on Super Nintendo, I love me some Street Fighter 2. Excellent game. Excellent combos, just everything is awesome in this game, and I actually even have the Champion Edition arcade, like the legit one, not the arcade 1-up version. And here we have Street Fighter 2 Turbo, released by Capcom in 1993. And in addition to adding additional characters to the roster, This one actually sped everything up if you did turbo mode, and it takes a little bit of getting used to, but overall, I do like turbo mode. It just makes the game that much more fast-paced and challenging. It was super awesome when this came out. Up next is Stunt Race FX, released by Nintendo in 1994, and this is another one of those FX games. As you can see, all these games typically have the same kind of thing, 3D polygonal shapes. And in this game, it's really cool what they tried to do, and the gameplay overall is pretty neat, but man is it slow. The frame rates are just garbage in this game, even despite it being kind of wacky and fun. Up next, we have Super Adventure Island, released by Hudson Soft in 1992, and if you've ever played an Adventure Island game, this is essentially the same thing, just with a new skin, slightly modified story, things like that, continuation of the old days, but the game is still super fun, and I would highly recommend it if you have never played an Adventure Island game. Up next, we have Super Bases Loaded, released by Jaleco in 1991, and this game is a vast improvement over its NES predecessors. As you can see, the graphics are far superior, which you would expect going from 8-bit to 16-bit, but they added so many new gameplay mechanics that made it feel like you were actually playing a baseball game. This is a fantastic game, and that's coming from someone who really does not like sports games. Up next is Super Battletank War in the Gulf, released by Absolute Entertainment in 1992, and this game took me a long time to figure out what it was that I was supposed to do and where I was supposed to go. They have so much vast space between various enemies that I don't imagine this game was ever really that fun for people. I mean, it seems like one of those ones you plug it in, you give it about a half hour, and then you're bored. And yet, for some reason, they made a sequel, Super Battletank 2, released by Absolute Entertainment in 1992. Continuation of the same. The maps look a little bit better. There's more details on them, but they still look pretty like Atari 2600 jank status. And overall, I mean, other than a slight graphics tweak, the game is just, in my opinion, not very fun. I did not care for this game at all. Up next is Super Black Bass, released by Hot B in 1993. And you guessed it, it's a fishing game. They did some pretty cool stuff with the graphics in it, I will give them that. And I've never been a fan of really any sports game. And I mean, fishing is a sport, but I mean, this game, it's cool. I would much rather have my fishing in like a Zelda game or something like that. Now here's a fun one. That is Super Bomberman, released by Hudson Soft in 1993, and this is one of the first games that I'm aware of that used the Super B multi-tap, so you could do multiplayer up to, I believe, 5 players with this game, and this game is fantastic. The solo missions are great. It's just excellent Bomberman gameplay, and the multiplayer is just, it's insane having that many people playing all at once on a Super. Up next, we got Super Bomberman 2, released by Hudson Soft in 1994, and this took everything about the previous game, made it better, and got rid of any of the extra fluff. This game is awesome. This Super Bomberman 2 is just on another level, and again, it has amazing multiplayer in it again. I mean, you really can't get better multiplayer on the Super Nintendo than the Super Bomberman games. Up next is Super Caesar's Palace, released by Virgin Interactive in 1993, and this game is dumb. I'm sorry, I don't like gambling in real life, but this game is just odd. I mean, you're playing a virtual horse racing game right here. You can walk around the casino and play other things. The controls are super jank. They don't work like well at all. This is just a terrible game. Now here's a not terrible game. That is Super Double Dragon, released by Tradewest in 1992, and this is a fantastic beat 'em up. It takes everything you love about the original Double Dragon games on the NES and brings it into all of its 16-bit glory. This game is fantastic. If you like any Double Dragon games or you like beat 'em ups in general, I think you'll love this one. Up next, we have Super Empire Strikes Back, released by LucasArts in 1993, and I really like the Star Wars games on the NES, but I gotta say, Super Nintendo took it way to another level. I mean, the lightsaber action, all the different enemies, the colors, the worlds, the music, everything is so cool in these games, and they made a bunch of them, so you never really ran out of things to do. These games are awesome. Here's another classic on the console. That is Super Metroid, released by Nintendo in 1994, and if you were a fan of the original Metroid game, awesome, good for you. This one is better.
I don't care what anyone says, this game set the bar for so many games in the future. There's a reason there's games that are called Metroidvania. You know, Castlevania, Metroid, most amazing games ever. Yeah, this one does not disappoint. And last up for this video is the Super NES Super Scope 6, released by Nintendo in 1992. And this was essentially the Super Nintendo Zapper. I mean, it was all light gun stuff, but it was a gigantic bazooka looking thing. And there are better Super Scope games than the default one that comes with it. But, I mean, it's pretty cool. It's like, you know, a hardware test. It shows you everything that it can actually do.
So there you have it, everyone. That is everything that is on the list for today's video, SNES Collection Part 4. Now, if you like today's video, please be sure to let me know down in the comments below. And also, be sure to check out the other videos that have been in the series so far. And while you're down in that comment section, please be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, as well as that little notification bell so that you get an alert every time I got a new video coming out. Now, as always, I'm GameDad. I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you later.